Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel, Bachelor Nation News. Fans, the sun dipped low over the golden cliffs of Santorini, casting a fiery glow across the crystal blue Aegean Sea. The gentle whisper of waves against the rocks created a tranquil symphony. But inside the villa, tension crackled like static electricity. It was the night of the ultimate revelation, the night every contestant had been simultaneously dreading and anticipating. Mel, the Golden Bachelor, stood on the terrace, the breeze tugging at his perfectly tailored blazer. His eyes were fixed on the horizon, but in truth, he was thinking about Cindy. Cindy, whose laughter had become the melody in his otherwise tumultuous journey of love. Tonight, he wasn't just giving a rose. Tonight, he had a secret message for her. One that could change everything. Inside the villa, the remaining contestants mingled, their nervous smiles masking swirling thoughts. Debbie tried to hide her anxiety behind a casual sip of champagne. "Do you think he's going to reveal something tonight?" she whispered to a friend, her voice betraying her unease. "I don't know," her friend replied, "but you can see it in his eyes. There's something different about him tonight." Mel's journey to this point hadn't been easy. From the very beginning, he had been searching for more than just romance. He had been searching for a connection that would shake him to his core. Cindy had been a revelation from the start. She had a warmth and authenticity that none of the other women could match. Yet the nature of reality TV meant every moment of affection had to be carefully measured, every gesture weighed against the scrutiny of cameras and public opinion. But tonight was different. As the other contestants were guided to the terrace for the evening's rose ceremony, Mel excused himself for a moment. The cameras barely caught the subtle shift in his demeanor, a man on the brink of vulnerability. He pulled out a small envelope from his jacket pocket. It wasn't a rose. It wasn't a card. It was something far more personal, something private, something meant only for Cindy. Cindy, unaware of the secret about to unfold, laughed lightly with another contestant. Her eyes sparkled, reflecting the golden sunset. Mel's heart tightened. He could feel the weight of this moment pressing down on him, a moment that could ignite a lifelong connection or leave him with a memory he would cherish in silence. He approached her slowly, careful to make the moment feel intimate despite the presence of cameras and fellow contestants. "Cindy," he said, his voice a soft murmur that only she could hear. She turned, curiosity lighting up her features. "Yes, Mel?" He handed her the envelope, watching her fingers tremble ever so slightly as she took it. "Open it when you're ready," he said, his eyes never leaving hers. "I wanted to say something, just to you." Cindy's pulse quickened. She slipped the envelope into her clutch, her mind racing with possibilities. "Mel, what?" she began, but he gently placed a hand on hers, silencing her with a look that was both tender and intense. The rose ceremony proceeded, each contestant stepping forward with roses, nerves jangling with every exchange. Yet Cindy barely heard the words being spoken. Her mind was on the envelope. She excused herself under the pretense of fresh air, retreating to a quiet corner of the terrace. With trembling hands, she finally opened it. Inside was a letter, handwritten in Mel's elegant script. "Cindy, from the moment I met you, I felt something I never expected. In a world full of fleeting smiles and rehearsed words, you are the truth I've been searching for. You make me laugh, you make me think, and you make me feel alive in ways I didn't know were possible. Tonight, I don't just give you a rose, I give you my heart. Always, Mel." Her eyes filled with tears, a mixture of disbelief and overwhelming joy. She read it again, each word embedding itself into her soul. The sincerity in Mel's words resonated deeply, bypassing the spectacle of the show to touch something raw and unguarded within her. Mel, standing at a distance, could feel her reaction. His own chest tightened as he watched her clutch the letter. The world fading around her. This was it, the moment that mattered. Not the cameras, not the roses, not the public votes, but this, the connection between two hearts. Unable to resist, he approached her again. "Cindy, did you get it?" She looked up, eyes glistening. I can't believe this. No one's ever said anything like this to me." Mel smiled softly. I meant every word. You're everything I didn't even know I was looking for." For a moment, the villa, the cameras, the other contestants, all of it ceased to exist. There was Mel and Cindy, standing together under the amber glow of the sunset, hearts synchronized in a way that defied logic and circumstance. Then, as if on cue, a breeze swept through the terrace, lifting her hair and the edges of the letter. She laughed softly, the sound like a melody to Mel's ears. I think I'm falling for you too," she whispered. Mel's eyes softened. "Then let's see where this goes. Together." The other contestants watched from a distance, whispering among themselves, stunned by the private intensity they had witnessed. Some were envious, some were in awe, but all could sense that this was a moment that would be remembered long after the camera stopped rolling. That night, the villa was filled with excitement and speculation, but for Mel and Cindy, it was a quiet revolution, a secret shared, a heart revealed, and a connection that could withstand the scrutiny of the world. By the time the rose ceremony concluded, the envelope had done its work. A simple gesture, a private confession, had transformed the night into something magical. And as Mel held Cindy's hand, guiding her to her seat with a rose in the other, everyone knew that something extraordinary had just begun. Because sometimes love doesn't need an audience. Sometimes it just needs courage.
The villa
And a
had
secret
quieted
message.
after the rose ceremony, but whispers lingered like a low hum. Some contestants exchanged uneasy glances, realizing that Mel's attention had shifted in a way that no one could compete with. Debbie tried to appear composed, but her hands trembled slightly as she swirled her champagne. "Did you see the way he looked at Cindy?" one contestant murmured. "It's like nothing else exists when she's around him." Debbie forced a laugh, but her stomach twisted. She had known Mel longer, shared more moments. Yet in this instant, Cindy's presence seemed magnetic. It wasn't just attraction, it was something deeper, something authentic that made even the cameras seem secondary. Meanwhile, Mel and Cindy retreated to the quiet edge of the terrace, the golden sunset giving way to a soft twilight. The envelope still rested in Cindy's hand, crumpled slightly from the way she had held it so tightly. "I can't stop thinking about what you wrote," Cindy admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. I've never had anyone be so honest with me before." "That's because I've never been this honest with anyone." "You make it easy to feel." His thumb traced small circles over the back of her hand, and Cindy felt a warmth that had nothing to do with the Mediterranean sun. Cindy laughed softly, brushing a loose strand of hair behind her ear. "Easy? You've been driving me crazy with suspense all season. I never knew if you actually liked me, or if it was all the show." Mel chuckled, shaking his head. "No, it's never been about the show. I've liked you since the first time you made me laugh so hard I snorted coffee through my nose." Cindy's cheeks flushed. "You remembered that?" "I remember everything about you," he said simply, eyes locking with hers. "Even the little things you think I don't notice. That's why I had to write it down. I didn't want to risk losing the words in the moment." Cindy's heart fluttered, and for a brief moment, all doubts seemed to vanish. The villa, the competition, the cameras, they were all distant echoes. There was only this moment, this connection, fragile and golden. But just as Cindy was about to respond, the sound of footsteps made her flinch. Debbie appeared, her expression carefully neutral, though she could sense the tension beneath the surface. "Oh, hey, just checking if you two were coming back inside," Debbie said, her voice polite, but edged with curiosity. "The cameras will want some footage soon." Cindy squeezed Mel's hand, signaling silently that she wanted to stay in their private moment a little longer. Mel nodded subtly, and Debbie, sensing the unspoken, simply smiled tight-lipped and walked away. "Don't worry about her," Mel murmured. "Right now, it's just us." Cindy smiled, heart still racing. I feel like I'm dreaming. You're not, but it will feel like a dream sometimes, being with me. That's the reality of falling for someone in this world. He paused as though choosing his next words carefully. I know things have been complicated, the cameras, the competition. It's not easy to show real feelings here. But that letter, that was the truth. Everything I feel is real. Cindy's eyes glistened with tears, though she blinked rapidly to hide them. Mel, I don't know what to say. I've been holding back, trying not to get too attached. But this changes everything. Mel smiled softly, brushing a thumb over her cheek. Then let it change everything. Let's stop pretending we're just part of a show. We can have our moments, our truth, even if the world is watching. Cindy took a deep breath, finally allowing herself to relax. I want that, she whispered. Mel's eyes softened, and in that moment, the villa seemed to disappear entirely. For the first time in weeks, maybe months, the Golden Bachelor wasn't just a reality TV star, he was a man in love, and Cindy was the only person who mattered. As night fell, the stars emerged over the Aegean, twinkling like tiny beacons of possibility. Mel and Cindy stayed on the terrace long after the other contestants had retreated inside, wrapped in the warmth of each other's presence. But back inside, the villa buzzed with speculation. Contestants whispered in corners, trying to decode the subtle signs they had witnessed. There's no denying it. Mel is in love with Cindy. Debbie, sitting alone in her room, stared at the walls, her mind racing. She had hoped for a fair chance, for Mel to consider her seriously, but seeing the way he looked at Cindy had shattered that hope. Yet beneath her frustration was an undeniable thrill. This was reality TV at its rawest, its most human. Hearts were on the line, secrets were being revealed, and the night was far from the over. Meanwhile, Mel and Cindy returned inside, hand in hand. Their smiles were small, but genuine, and every glance between them carried the weight of unspoken promises. They navigated the cameras with ease, playing their parts, but their hearts were elsewhere, in a quiet corner of Santorini, under a golden sky, where nothing else mattered but the bond they had begun to forge. As they settled into the living area, Cindy leaned close to Mel. "You really think this could work?" she asked softly. Mel kissed her forehead, a gentle promise of reassurance. "I don't just think it could work. I know it will. We'll make it through the cameras, the drama, everything, because we have something real." Cindy smiled, feeling a warmth that went beyond words. "Then I'm with you," she whispered. And at that moment, the Golden Bachelor wasn't just a man making choices for the show, he was a man making a
The morning
choice
after
for his
their
heart.
secret beach getaway, the villa felt heavier than usual. The sunlight poured through the windows, but it did little to lift the simmering tension among the contestants. Whispers had turned into open speculation, and everyone could feel that something significant was unfolding. Debbie paced the hallway, frustration and jealousy tangled in every step. "He's practically ignoring all of us," she muttered under her breath. "Cindy has completely captured his attention. I don't even know why I bother." Her reflection in the mirror offered no comfort. She straightened her posture, trying to mask the storm brewing inside her, but the truth was undeniable. Mel's focus had shifted, and Cindy was at the center. Meanwhile, Mel and Cindy moved through the villa like a secret world unto themselves. Every glance, every subtle touch was a reminder of the connection they had nurtured. Yet they knew the cameras were watching, and that made maintaining normalcy a delicate act. "You okay to see?" Mel whispered to Cindy as they prepared for the day's activities. She nodded, though her stomach fluttered nervously. "I think so, but Debbie is definitely tense. You can feel it." Mel sighed. "I know, but I can't control how others feel. I can only control what I do and who I choose to be with." The challenge for the day was a group adventure, sailing along the coast, a mix of fun and competitive tasks meant to entertain both contestants and viewers. Mel and Cindy found themselves on the same boat, the gentle rocking of the waves only intensifying their closeness. As they sailed, Mel leaned close to whisper, "I can't stop thinking about last night, the letter, how you reacted. It's like something changed in both of us." Cindy smiled, her fingers brushing his arm. "It did change things. I can't even explain it. It feels like I finally understand what you feel." From across the deck, Debbie's eyes narrowed. She had been trying to focus on the challenge, but the subtle moments between Mel and Cindy were impossible to ignore. Every laugh, every shared glance felt like a stake driven straight into her hope of winning Mel's heart. The competitive tasks began, but Debbie's frustration simmered beneath the surface. When it was her turn to row, she pushed harder than anyone else, sweat glistening on her forehead. "I have to show him I'm worthy," she muttered fiercely, though even she knew her efforts were fueled by jealousy rather than love. After the challenge, the contestants gathered on the shore. Mel approached Debbie, offering a polite smile. "You did great out there," he said, genuinely. Debbie forced a smile, but didn't meet his eyes. Instead, she glanced towards Cindy, who was chatting softly with Mel. Every small interaction between them felt like a reminder of what she had lost, or never truly had. Later, as the sun dipped toward the horizon once more, the villa's atmosphere shifted. Tension mingled with anticipation for the evening's rose ceremony. Debbie decided she couldn't remain silent any longer. She approached Mel privately, her voice trembling slightly but firm. "Mel, can I be honest?" she asked. "Of course," he replied, his tone gentle. I see how you look at Cindy. I know I'm not the one you feel that way about, but I can't help feeling pushed aside. I care about you, and it hurts to see this growing between you two." Mel took a deep breath, his heart aching at the pain in her eyes. "Debbie, I care about you too, but my feelings for Cindy, they're different, deeper. I can't ignore them, and I wouldn't want to lead you on." Tears welled in Debbie's eyes, but she nodded, trying to accept the truth. "I understand," she whispered, her voice breaking. I wish it didn't hurt this much." Mel reached out, gently holding her hand. "I know, and I'm sorry, but my heart, it's with Cindy." Debbie pulled back gently, masking her heartbreak behind a brave smile. "I want you to be happy," she said softly, "even if it's not with me." Meanwhile, Cindy watched from a distance, sensing the confrontation had taken place. Her chest tightened, not with jealousy, but with empathy. Reality TV had put them all under a microscope, and emotions were raw, vulnerable, and unavoidable. When the rose ceremony finally began, the tension in the villa was palpable. Each contestant approached Mel with a mixture of hope and trepidation. And when it came time for Cindy, Mel reached for her hand, giving her a rose before anyone else could speak. The moment was electric. Cameras flashed, contestants whispered, but for Cindy and Mel, the world had once again narrowed to just the two of them. Mel leans close, whispering what only she could hear. "You've changed everything, and I don't want to let go." Cindy's eyes shimmered with tears. "I don't want you to either." The other contestants looked on, some with envy, some with awe. It was clear that a secret message, once carefully folded into an envelope, had sparked something irreversible. Love had quietly, yet profoundly taken root. That night, as the villa settled into silence, Mel and Cindy found themselves on the balcony once more. The stars stretched endlessly above them, and the air was heavy with possibility. "I never thought it could be like this," Cindy whispered, leaning into him, "like real and ours." Mel kissed her top of her head. "It is, Cindy, and no matter what happens, no one can take that away from us." They stood together in silence, hearts aligned, knowing that the road ahead would have challenges, jealousy, and drama, but also a connection so deep that it could withstand anything the show threw at them. Because sometimes a simple secret message can ignite a love that nothing, not even the spotlight, can diminish.